you have kind of a double backbone to this industry. There's the individual shops, and then there's the individual technicians. You are officially the chief doctor for AEA. What's the health like on both right now?
Well, since we don't really ever represent individual technicians or A&P mechanics. We represent FAA or appropriate government certified repair stations that employ avionics technicians. AEA prides itself on making sure those avionics technicians have the opportunity to take part in all kinds of technical training on either new avionics equipment, existing avionics equipment, learning how to troubleshoot and maintain and integrate those systems into the cockpit with other instruments in avionics. So the health of the avionics technician is very good if they choose to take advantage of all the training opportunities we offer to them. We can always use more trained avionics technicians in our industry. I think we're seeing that with the ADS-B demand. Shops are, being very creative nowadays, trying to find qualified and experienced avionics technicians, and if they can't find them, they are starting to be creative and mentor students who are enrolled in various avionics programs, or even a student that has a mechanical aptitude and is interested in a job in the aviation industry, especially in the maintenance and repair industry. They're raising their own, if you will, and because if you cannot find these qualified and educated avionics technicians that are in great demand, then you have to resort to those type of means of training them and on-the-job training, apprentice to journeyman, if you will.
Is there sufficient outreach and diversity among the AEA community, both for women and people of color?
There's probably not enough, and there probably should be a lot more than there is currently being done. It is something, obviously, myself as a woman is very sensitive to. I would love to see more females out in the audiences when I am on speaking engagements or when we're at AEA Connect meetings or the annual convention and trade show. Women are in the headlines a lot lately, Women's International Day, and empower women. I say we've been empowered a long time. It hasn't just come about in the last few months or the last couple of years, but we ourselves are the ones that sometimes have to pull our own selves up by the bootstraps and say, I am interested in a science career. I'm interested in an aviation maintenance career. How do I go about it? And that's where AEA and Women in Aviation, AEA supports them through scholarships for women seeking careers in the maintenance community. And then we have our own educational foundation as well that we promote and seek to give scholarships, award scholarships to both men and women seeking careers in the industry. But could there be more done? Absolutely. Absolutely, for both women and those people of color. Bring them in. Let's promote these highly skilled, really wonderful careers in, of course, I'm partial, but in a very wonderful industry.
How do you see the overall regulatory situation? Is it improving? Is it about the same? Is it getting worse? And where does it most need an effort?
The age-old problem, especially with AEA celebrating our 60 years this year, we've spent a lot of time over the past several months looking back at our history files of the association and minutes of some of our board meetings, and discouragingly enough, some of the same topics in regards to regulators and regulations and rulemaking and so forth have not changed in the last 60 years. Maybe I shouldn't say they haven't changed, but some of the faces have changed, but some of the problems still exist. Probably the number one problem at the end of the day is the interpretation of the written regulation. All of us are going to interpret the written word a little bit differently, and to my knowledge, there hasn't been a solution, a really good solution to how a human mind interprets the written word. So we may have a disagreement on a simple sentence. So that has not changed a lot. What I do see changing, and I mentioned a little earlier, is that I do see a culture change within the FAA. They realize they do not have the resources they need and at times the manpower they need to regulate and oversee this entire industry. And so they are looking more for industry through designees, through DERs, if you will, to help them, industry professionals that are designated by the FAA or other EASA, Transport Canada, name the regulatory agency, and they're also doing the same thing. They're relying more on industry expertise and input to help again, create a safe environment for all of us in all segments of aviation.
What do you want the general aviation and business aviation, even to a certain extent the sport aviation community, to know about the avionics industry as it stands right now?
The avionics industry is made up of very passionate, smart people, very creative people. I mentioned this morning in our opening address, in 60 years, you think of the icons that have been in this industry: Art Collins of Collins Avionics, now Rockwell Collins; Ed King of King Radio, and now Bendix King and Honeywell; Gary Burrell, the GAR in Garmin. These brilliant, genius individuals who bring these products to market that have changed aviation as we know it over the years. And I'm singling out people, but there are thousands of those people in this industry, hardworking people that at the end of the day, yes, we're all trying to make a living in the industry, but at the end of the day, it's our love and our passion of aviation and producing the safest product that we possibly can to make flying enjoyable and profitable for everyone.
I'm sure that on the back of the door in your office, there's a dartboard. Middle of the dartboard, what is your target for the rest of 17 and into 18 for AEA? What's public enemy number one?
Public enemy number one is probably privatizing ATC. So we will be laser focused on FAA reoff. The positive is we really want to be focused on FAA reoff. The FAA needs a reauthorization bill. We do not need another extension. So we would ask Congress to realize how hard it is for FAA to really operate without a budget and know where to put money and what airport improvement programs can be done now. When you're operating on an extension, it's very hard to run a company. And the FAA is a company. They're a business. They're an organization. So we will be pushing hard for an actual bill to be passed. Hopefully it can be. That is one major issue, privatization, as I mentioned, and just keeping ADS-B installs chugging along and trying to spread the word that as the clock ticks, so does the install calendar fill up as well. So, I cannot express enough to your subscribers to continue to look at their preferred avionics shop and make sure they have an install date in mind. And let's get equipped and let's move on. There's so many opportunities beyond 2020. We're also laser focused on the ADS-B mandate. Well, there's so many other exciting, great avionics products out there that's going to take us beyond that mandate.
And beyond it.
Absolutely.
For what it's worth, we appreciate what AEA is doing. We appreciate the direction you've taken and how effective your organization has been.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate the relationship as well. It has been a long-standing, healthy relationship. We appreciate your coverage and your support of the association and all of our associate members. And here's to another 10 years, if not another 60 years.
Aero-TV is brought to you by
True Blue Power Advanced Lithium-Ion Mainship batteries feature proprietary nanophosphate technology. They deliver 3 times the energy density and are more than 40% lighter than lead-acid or NiCad alternatives. RTCA tested, FAA certified, available to OEMs today.
It's called AirText Plus. The mobile office is now a true, cost-effective win-win reality because being available and part of the communication chain keeps you in control. Visit us at www.airtext.aero for more information and get started staying in touch today.